Someone says, why does she look possessed? I'm possessed by the Donald Trump insanity. That's exactly what I'm possessed by. And I'm also a little dead behind the eyes because the New York Rangers squandered the series to the Ottawa Senators last night, but that's beside the point. Hey guys, it's Emma Vigeland. I hope you're having a great day. But I have some breaking news for you that I thought was really interesting and problematic for the Trump administration. I believe this was broken by the New York Times. Once this video is over, I'll put it in the description below. But as you may know by now, James Comey, the FBI director, was fired by President Donald Trump in a seemingly rushed statement late last night, early afternoon, on Tuesday. The statement read as follows: "While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau." So firstly, there's a lot of things to unpack in that ridiculous statement. Yes, Donald Trump, you specifically are not under investigation, but your campaign and the people associated with you is under investigation for the Russian involvement, potentially, in the election. The idea that he only cares about if he specifically is under investigation speaks to the enormous stupidity of the President of the United States. And secondly, as I will unpack a little bit further, the Department of Justice is currently being led by Jeff Sessions, who is a Trump loyalist. I don't have any confidence that the Department of Justice's recommendation and judgment on James Comey's dismissal is going to be fair or relevant, really, because Jeff Sessions is essentially a Trump stooge. But I will continue. President Donald Trump, in his first remarks to reporters since the firing of James Comey on Tuesday evening, said he had dismissed the FBI director because he was not doing a good job. Very simply, he was not doing a good job, Trump repeated, as he often does. Apparently, both Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, and Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, pushed for his dismissal. "I cannot defend the director's handling of the conclusion of the investigation of Secretary Clinton's emails," Mr. Ornstein, wrote in another letter that was released by the White House, "and I do not understand his refusal to accept the nearly universal judgment that he was mistaken." So, apparently, these Trump appointee officials who are deeply conservative and despise Hillary Clinton as Trump continues to do victory laps around her, dead corpse. She's not dead, actually, but this is obviously a metaphor. They are so concerned about how Comey dealt with the investigation of her emails, which was pretty much over months ago when they had all of this information, that they decide to make a rush statement while James Comey is not even in Washington, D.C. He was in L.A. at the Bureau out there, and fire him with no replacement in a very obviously rushed manner. Again, according to Jake Tapper, Comey was in LA at the time and found out about this from TV. So this was clearly rushed. But let me read to you the development that happened today. Got this notification, knew I had to bring it to you guys. Days before he was fired, James B. Comey, the former FBI director, asked the Justice Department for a significant increase in money and personnel for the Bureau's investigation into Russia's interference in the presidential election, according to 3 officials with knowledge of his report. So this was corroborated substantially. Mr. Comey asked for the resources during a meeting last week with Rod Rosenstein, or Stein, I'm sorry. I'll figure out after this video how it's actually pronounced. The Deputy Attorney General, who wrote the Justice Department's memo that was used to justify the firing of the FBI director this week. Mr. Comey then briefed members of Congress on the meeting in recent days. So I think Rosenstein or Rosenstein, whatever, is going to be an important actor in this. He was knowledgeable. He knew that James Comey and the FBI were asking for more money and more resources to dig deeper into this investigation. And then suddenly they have such a problem with how Comey treated poor Hillary Clinton in the election that they need to fire him on the spot. I mean, it is the worst excuse in the history of excuses. They might as well have said, my dog ate my homework. I mean, it's so transparent what they're trying to do. the Department of Justice, obviously headed by both Sessions and that Deputy Attorney General, are, again, Trump appointees, are apparently, according to CNN, denying the FBI's request for more funds. By the way, let's go back to Jeff Sessions a little bit. Sessions was supposedly recused from the Russia investigation, but do you think he completely recused himself from this request for more funds? Do you think Rosenstein, his Deputy Attorney General, gave him a little heads up saying, wow, this is really ramping up? If you recall, Sessions also met with the Russian ambassador, and again, is a Trump stooge. So he's going to do what he needs to protect Donald Trump and, by proxy, protect himself in this position that he's been coveting his entire life as Attorney General. So self-preservation obviously plays a factor in this. So let me just say that the media is jumping on the fact that this proves collusion. I don't want to do that because it doesn't prove collusion yet. I think that this is makes it more likely that there was collusion. This obviously quick and impulsive firing by Donald Trump, but we don't have proof yet. And I think Mike Flynn obviously is in a world of trouble right now, but I don't want everyone to jump on the conclusion this proves collusion between Trump and the Russians bandwagon. Does it make it more likely? I think anyone with two brain cells to rub together would say, yes, it does make it a little more likely, but we do not have that evidence in front of us yet. The FBI is conducting, apparently, an investigation. If they do continue with that investigation, we shall see whoever Trump puts in to replace James Comey. Speaking of Mike Flynn, and another development, the federal grand jury in North Virginia has issued subpoenas for records tied to the former White House National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. According to a person familiar with the matter, the subpoenas to associates of Mr. Flynn were first reported by CNN. So this is ramping up, especially on Mike Flynn's end. I would be very cautious and careful if I were him, but I wouldn't be him because I wouldn't be idiotic enough to get myself into this situation. But what is it about this authoritarian nature of Donald Trump? So he felt the heat. He probably got this tip-off from Sessions and the Department of Justice about the funds, about the request for more funds. And he acted impulsively and fired James Comey and couldn't even bother to come up with a better excuse than, oh, he hurt poor Hillary Clinton. And he mismanaged that situation, which Trump had publicly praised him about at numerous times, both before he got elected and after he got elected. So this comes weeks again after he complimented him. But what this does show, and again, I don't know if it necessarily shows collusion while the mainstream media is jumping upon this, it shows that, one, Trump feels the heat and feels that he has something to hide pertaining to the Russians. Whether that is collusion, I do not know. But I do have these quotes from his sons. We have the funding we need out of Russia, Eric Trump once told a Golf magazine reporter who asked him how he got all this funding for these golf courses. In 2008, Donald Trump Jr. said, Russians make up a disproportionate cross-section of a lot of our assets. We see a lot of money pouring in from Russia. So the money is a big part of this. Whether there was a financial deal to help Donald Trump get elected, I do not have that information, and anyone who is purporting that they have that information in the media cannot be correct right now. That information is not public because it is a part of an ongoing FBI investigation. But what this does show is, one, Trump has an authoritarian nature, and that is scary. This is very Nixonian, although the Nixon Public Library or Nixon Library had a tweet saying this went beyond Nixon. This was even worse than Nixon, but I digress. I do think that Jeff Sessions saying that he recused himself is almost laughable at this point because he clearly had a hand in making the determination of whether or not to fire James Comey. I mean, Trump said it himself. It was on the recommendation of Sessions and the Department of Justice, or he said the Department of Justice. And so that has to be no coincidence that this was after Comey requested these funds. So Sessions did clearly not recuse himself because he helped make a determination on this firing based off of this request for more funds. And if you think this is just a wild coincidence, there is no hope for you. You are hopelessly naive, because if the FBI was ramping up its investigation into Trump and Russia, and they told the Department of Justice, and they asked for more money, and then days after, he gets fired, quickly and unceremoniously, that is as obvious of a connection as I could ever give to you. So, very interesting stuff, but this was the breaking news that yes, James Comey was ramping up his investigation and let the Department of Justice know that he needed more money to investigate the Russian ties to Trump. And then they fired him. Boom. We shall see how this all shakes out in the wash. Have a great day, guys.